I was brought up in a place called Kirby in Liverpool. I was the youngest of 7 kids. We lived in a 3-bedroom council flat, and I had a very happy upbringing. There wasn't a lot of money around, but then there wasn't a lot of money around anywhere in Kirby at that time. My dad was born in 1920, so when the war broke out in 1939, he was old enough to be conscripted. My mum was born just a couple of streets away from my dad. She was one of 12 kids. They stayed in Liverpool during the Blitz. She married my dad in 1947, like people did in those days, had a baby about every 18 months until they finished with me. Sadly, he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when I was just a boy and couldn't work anymore. That was difficult for him and my mum and the family. He suffered great indignities. Kirby was in the constituency known as Huyton, which people of a certain age will know was the MP was Harold Wilson. Staunch Labour. Given what I do for a living, it's quite funny that the church and the school I went to were both St Joseph the Worker. I started work on the 2nd of July 1979. On the 1st of July 1979, one of my elder brothers said, join the union on your first day at work, and that was the best piece of advice I ever had. I got involved in the union at a regional level and then a national level, and did every job that a lay rep could do. I was increasingly leaning in the union's direction, and then I got a chance in 1988 for a 2-year secondment to the union, and I'm still here. One of my first official duties as president of the TUC was to be part of a delegation meeting the Governor of the Bank of England, Mark Carney. It was pretty daunting. You know, here was me, I'd started work at 16 as a clerk in a building society, and 40 years later I'm having lunch with the Governor of the Bank of England in the Bank of England. And I was really amused when I found out that Mark Carney is actually an Everton supporter, like I am. I've been the virtual president of the TUC for the last 6 months, when we've had countless meetings through computer screens. At the start of the lockdown, we were pleased to work more closely with a Conservative government than we expected to be able to. But since politics seems to be reverting to type, the government seems not to be listening so much anymore. And we've got some really important contributions to make. The 2 major standout points for me from the pandemic are the importance of the NHS and key workers everywhere in so many trade unions, the people who keep our communities, our economy running. You know, we weren't standing out in the streets applauding hedge fund managers on a Thursday night. We were supporting and applauding the real heroes. You know, we've got an imbalance between how important people's work is to our economy and actually how they're rewarded and how precarious their jobs are. And when we get to a recovery, then there's got to be a new solution. We can't just go back to the way things were. And what we need to do is rebuild the economy in a fairer and more balanced way. The TUC's history over 150 years have shown that workers benefit most when unions are strong. I think that unions have regained some recognition in the national consciousness of the importance of the work that we do and the contribution that we make to society. So I hope that unions can grow in influence and grow in membership and have a bright future for the benefit of everybody.